I don't know if you've seen anything happening in the technical zone outside our commentary booth.
No, nothing yet. No, it's all been pretty quiet.
Right, there's 21 going through. Carlos Coloma, the Spaniard, riding for the Wild Wolf Trek Racing Team with Sergio Mantecon, the rider from Murcia. Lucas Flukiger leading his younger brother there going through with number 17 sitting right behind him, Maxime Marotte, the rider for the BH Sun Tour team. I have to say that Matthias not looking as comfortable, but he often does look like he's uncomfortable. He's riding the top fuel, looks like both on full suspension. He was testing the hardtail earlier in the week and finding some lower back pain, and a lot of riders have to weigh that up, the lightweight hardtail versus the comfort and ride that you get from a full suspension bike. And there really isn't that much difference in weight these days compared to the benefit you can get in the ride. So it really comes down to how comfortable you are on the course and how much of the course gives you a hard time through the rear wheel.
That's right, and then with the specialised guys, Cole Harvey's riding the full suspension, and Wells and Stander are using the hardtail, and Wells is on big wheels.
Yeah, and it can often depend on the tyre pressure and the seat and all sorts of other things that give you certain levels of forgiveness. What materials the bikes are made of. Most of these are all carbon fibre, of course, but the seat post, all sorts of things can give you a little bit of comfort on a hardtail. But it really is getting to the point now where it's not that big of a difference in the weight, and it all comes down to the ride, the traction, keeping the rear wheel down. You don't want to be getting kicked up over the handlebars on some of these rock gardens. We've seen a lot of people nearly do that. So a lot of it comes into play. The riders do test both bikes now, so we can see now the leaders getting away here from Kulhavi. So Absalon and Schurter, the two big guns from last season, getting away from the debut winner from Wyndham. And that could just be a lot of experience, who knows. But Kulhavi, you have to take your hat off to him. He did take it from the beginning and really try and meet these top guys on the first half of the race, and show that it was no fluke that he won in Wyndham last year and was on nearly every podium last year, to be honest. So Kulhavi sitting in third and now in danger of being caught up by fourth and fifth if he doesn't watch himself. Long gap back now to sixth place.
I think with Kulhavi as well, he had a great year last year on a relatively small team, and he got picked up by the biggest team in the world, and there's certainly some pressure and expectation on his own shoulders to show that he's worthy of that place, because I think there's so many people gunning for a place on Specialised that
it is interesting. We did talk to him as well at the end of 2009, and his comment was he preferred to stay on a smaller team, and he did do that in 2010, and I guess with the results it just becomes too difficult to turn down offers from pro teams, and there he is now on the full Specialised factory team. The Rubena Specialised team out of the Czech Republic is still operating, and they do have riders, but he's now on the big red.
At some point the checkbook definitely helps, you know, however much you like a small team.
Yes, so he's riding the full sus, the full suspension Epic 29er. And as I said, won the World Cup in Wyndham, but he also got a second in Chambéry, which is important for the World Championships. A big guy like that did very well on that course, and no real course changes for this year for the World Championship, Simon, on the World's course compared to the World Cup last year in Chambéry?
Not that we've heard about, no, but with Chambéry, you know, they can make some changes quite late on, and we don't really know until we show up what's going to happen there, I don't think.
So there's no course submissions from the organiser of the UCI to show them what they're doing or anything like that?
Well, usually.
All right, through the feed zone we see once again Julian Absalon take the lead in this section. He's led through nearly every lap on this section, and he's got the technically proficient Nino Schurter, who I mentioned before, won an Avalanche Cup in Flims in Switzerland last year, beating Absalon's brother, Remy Absalon, and we see these two now getting a gap of about 10 bike lengths on Kulhavi. And that's a handy little gap, and it'll play into the mind of Kulhavi whether or not he can hang on, will he need to spend the effort, or can he just wait for something lucky to happen where these guys just ease off and come back towards him.
I think we'll know that coming up the finishing straight this lap. I think Absalon and Schurter will definitely be looking at each other riding up here, and it's whether Kulhavi's got the strength left to bridge that gap.
Okay, so we're watching our leaders through the amphitheatre. Julian Absalon leading Nino Schurter, and Kulhavi not too far back. Now you can see the train of four just a little bit behind now. This is chasing down 6th place, 7th, 8th and 9th. And looking, just a reminder, tomorrow we have the women's downhill live at 1:15 Central European time, and it's 2 o'clock for the men. So please sure to join in here. The vocals of Mr. Rob Warner and special guests, as they call the first downhill World Cup of the year. It should be a thriller. And haven't heard any weather forecast for tomorrow, Will, but either way it should be pretty exciting. Have you heard anything?
The one I saw yesterday was similar to today, so clear blue skies and nice and warm and sunny.
Very indeed. At the beginning of the week looked like we were going to have 3 rainy days in a week. We've only had one that came on Wednesday night and a bit of Thursday morning, but since then it's been absolutely perfect. And this venue does dry out very quickly, it has to be said. If you were here last week, you needed a submarine to get to the tech zone. It was ridiculous, and you can see really on the side of the track, the swamp dried out. It does look like it's been very wet here. There were trees taken down, stormy, very, very difficult conditions. But we're blessed with the warm weather today as Barry Stanley was leading this chase group. He's sitting in position 6, plate number 9, the yellow number plate of the leading team in the world rankings. And rightly so, they have some strong rides going on here with Kulhavi, Wells and Stander. And of course winning the women's race with Ren who actually won 4 World Cups, Simon, I looked up. It's her 4th, and all of them have been early. Round 1, round 1, round 2. Right, so 2 times winner of 50s. And so she's now in the top 10 all-time winners of World Cup racing and winning. So no slouch on the bike, the Chinese, Ren Chen-1 in particular, and we saw her win today on the Specialized, and now we're watching Barry Stander sitting ahead of Lejarreta, the Spaniard, and Lejarreta, a former medalist in, I think it was under 23, or it might have been even a team relay, but he has worn the rainbow stripes before. But the UCI now, you can only wear the rainbow stripes on your sleeve for a former elite world champion in this field. So someone like Julian Absalon is allowed to do it, as is Nino Schurter. But if you're under 23 or a junior, you can't wear it in this particular race. Kulhavi still staying in contact there, plate number 3. And it's not over for the Czech rider by any stretch of the imagination. As we look back now to see if we can find Hamida and Fontana, well, they're not there to be seen. That is a big gap now. That looks like a lap rider, I think.
That's a lap rider.
Yeah, lap rider there. So once again, Will Schurter go to the inside. Right, as regular as a Swiss clock, he goes to the inside and takes. You're right. Absalon does look very unsteady through there. For someone of his experience, he's having a bit of trouble on those rocks. Not comfortable there at all. As we have number 113. Now I hope he doesn't hook up here with Kulhavi. This is the danger of lap riders on this particular section of the track. And 113 there, John Lee of Zimbabwe, having a little bit of trouble there, trying to stay ahead of the riders coming through at a much faster pace, as we see Hamida and Fontana on the attack. 2 different lines coming down towards the rock garden. And we see Fontana rode this beautifully last time around, and well, there's the problem. Came in with too much speed and couldn't do anything about it, and almost T-boned the 4th place rider Hamida, and now loses a lot of time. That will unsettle him. He's had to run down there in his Mavic yellows and looked a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, he had such a fast line as well.
Now, Hamida would have seen this just the last minute, and he couldn't have done anything about it. That was not a tactic, or he just had to commit to his line. And so we don't have the 4-cross commissaires on this section, so we're okay. Both riders will get through. Stander now making a bit of a gap on his group there. Stefan Tempier following in behind now in 22 there. Lejarreta and Todd Wells, well, getting collected there by Manuel Fumik coming through at a charge as well. So those guys coming in on the inside line will T-bone someone who's cutting across for the inside left hand through the narrow section of the descent there. Very, very tricky indeed. And the next group we should be seeing through, well, I can guess it's going to be Swiss, because there are 4 Swiss that should be in the next group. We'll see which ones they are. Quite a big gap now back to these riders who are fighting for positions 12, 13 and 14. Now that looks like it's plate number 17 coming through. It's Maxime Marot, who's worked his way through the Swiss. And Carlos Coloma, 21, sitting in behind him. Coloma was 11th last time through. Marot was sitting back in 17th. So he's a rider on the move, Maxime Marot, teammate of the 2nd place rider that we saw earlier today, Julian Brasset. Schurter in the lead in this section, followed by Julian Absalon. They'll be coming around to finish lap 4 and get 2 to go when we see them next at the finish line. Let's see what sort of gap they've now got on Kulhavi.
The descent they just came down, there's actually 3 separate lines down there. That's got a C line as well, and it's but those guys make the A line look so easy that can never consider why anybody would try the B or the C line. And
the B and the C line really, really different.
They are different, yeah. There's just a different sort of technical ability required for either, and the C line is pretty much the what you probably call the chicken line.
Okay.
Probably see some of the junior women maybe tomorrow will try that option.
Did you see some of the fans with the battery-operated chickens heading up there that were making clucking noises that they were lining that section? You got to admire the inventive crowds that we get at some of our races, and no exception here in South Africa. 1 hour and 3 minutes about to come up on the clock with 2 laps to go, so that will get us into the almost exact same lap time, race time as the women at 1:32 1/4 or 3/4. So together, these two know each other very well. They're often together at the end of a race. We've seen dramatic sprint finishes in Canberra, 2009 World Championships, in Dolby, and I think there was another one in Switzerland as well. But they've been well and truly the two form riders of the last 12 months. Year and a half. Absalon and Shorter going through together, getting the same time, and here's Coolharvey now dropping back about 10 seconds, and we'll just see what the gap is back to 4th and 5th. So Coolharvey will find himself in no man's land. He's yelling for something here. I understand his English is not super strong, so often the situation in international teams when riders come in, they don't have a strong English language. It is the lingua franca of mountain biking, more or less. Most of the teams speak English, or it is the international press language, whereas in road cycling it's French. And it is difficult for a rider coming in that don't have a good grasp of English language to talk to their mechanics and get across what it is that they need. But I'm sure Coolharvey will learn pretty quickly, as we see that Hamid has already come through and left Fontana, and he's put a gap into him of 17 seconds. So is Hamida trying to get across now to Coolharvey? He's 23 seconds behind him and 17 ahead of Fontana. And here comes Barry Stander in 6th place, leading this group. Barry Stander coming through with Tempierre sitting in 7th, and in 8th we should have Fumik and Lejarreta and Wells. It is Lejarreta and Wells coming through at 8 and 9, and rounding out the top 10 may well be Fumik. It is indeed. So there's our top 10 all through in 1 minute 18. And has to be said, it really is going to come down to these front 3, if not front 2, unless anything untoward happens to them. Mechanically, I can't see these two guys hitting
That's
the wall
1, 2, and 3.
No, I don't think so. Physically, those two are going to stay ahead. It's just whether they have an issue. But I don't think Coolharvey's going to make it back on physical ability alone.
Yes.
I'd be surprised again. The same with Hamida. I don't think he's going to make the junction. He's lost a few seconds again into Coolharvey. I think it's a little bit in no man's land there in 4th, and certainly Fontana is. I wouldn't be surprised to see Stander and the next guys start to take a little bit of time into Fontana.
Barry Stander sitting at 1 minute 3 behind the lead, only 13 seconds behind Fontana, so that is very much a possibility. Tempierre, it has to be said, a great ride by him. He's always around the 10 to 20s, and today we see him in the top 10 in 7th place, probably the closest I've seen him to a podium. A young rider coming up from 123 ranks and doing very well indeed for his Italian team. And we see Barry Stander, a little bit awkward there, but not too bad. We can see actually Liam Kalun has moved up to 29th. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him making a move on the last lap or two to get the top 20.
Let's go!
I guess for him it's just a matter of coming back further and further into the top rows of the grid each race as he goes, and I'm sure he's ridden around Dolby once or twice.
Yeah, I was talking to him in the week, and he was going to be, I think he'd got a goal of a top 30, he said he'd be happy with the top 30 to take that into the start at Dolby.
Yes, for a lot of these riders it's step by step to get them to September, and it is a very, very long season. 7 rounds as we go from here to Dolby Forest, then we head over to Offenburg, and from there we hit the 2 triples in North America, first in Mont Saint Anne and then Wyndham. Head back to Europe for the new venue of Novo Mesto, and in the Czech Republic, where I'm sure there's going to be a lot of
the rock
support
gardens
for
now,
Jaroslav
watching the riders.
And then we go to Val di Sole, quite a regular on the circuit now, and then we're off to the World Championship shortly after that. So pretty exciting. And then the year after, we see the World Cup finals.
2 laps to go, South Africa, 2 laps to go.
I'm not quite sure how the program's looking, but the Olympics are what
Very
time of the year?
certainly battling on.
First week of August?
Yep, during the second week of August.
Second week of August, and then we'll have the World Championships and World Cup finals that'll be in 2012. So the World Cup finals moving back to being after the World Championships.
Christoph Salzar
But this
now.
year, the final event of the year will be Champrix.
Just behind him.
from the BMC
The World
team,
Championships
Galati.
pay-per-view, as far as I know, will, but the whole World Cup this year is free of charge.
Flickinger.
So great to have Freecaster back on free, and you can see now our third place rider coming through, Yaroslav Kulhavi, been at the front end all day, and now he has to think about the world champion sitting behind him, Jose Hermida, who took time